Well, Germany's car industry has long been a key driving force behind Europe's largest economy, but the sector is under real pressure, with Volkswagen confirming it's considering closing factories, as Trent was just mentioning, and BMW shares are tumbling. So what has gone wrong here? Let's talk to Daniel Harrison, an automotive analyst at Ultima Media. Daniel, what do you think's gone wrong?
Yes, good afternoon. So, I mean, much of what's been discussed here about the general demise of automotive and manufacturing in Germany is intertwined, really, because Germany fundamentally has a productivity problem. It has a cost problem. Manufacturing in Germany, for example, for Volkswagen, is the highest in the world amongst all of its global plants. And in an environment where there's a price war, there's imminent threat of Chinese electric vehicles coming into the market, there's more competitors coming onto the market. That's a really toxic combination where costs and margins are under extreme pressure. I think VW's margins in the first half of this year were just 2.4%. So you see the very tight margins it's operating under, and the shift to electrification is really hurting it because it's losing market share there to other European players, but also the Chinese EV players. So there's a multitude of problems there.
How do you fix it?
That's the million-dollar question. Fundamentally, the labour costs are too high in Germany compared to other markets that it manufactures in. And that's because of the strong legacy and history, as we know in Germany, of unionisation and works councils, which are very powerful. They have positions on the boards in Germany and VW. That's a difficult nut to crack because that has been German strength post-war. But now it's become a little bit of a liability because the unions have an immense power. They resist change, they resist modernisation and cost-cutting. But there's other things that ultimately VW has to do. For example, it was reported recently that Tesla can make a Model 3 electric vehicle in 10 hours. VW ID3 takes 30 hours. That's a massive gap in productivity and efficiencies that it has to bridge to become competitive, not only with Tesla, but this, as I said, this imminent threat of Chinese EVs coming onto the market.
And what does this crisis in the automotive sector mean for the wider German landscape?
I mean, as your previous correspondent was talking about, VW is one of the largest companies, and I think it's actually technically second largest to Toyota is first, but it's Germany's largest employer. Private employer, and it's up till now it's been a major exporter, as with many VW automotive companies, to China. At one point, VW's profits, up to 50% of them, were coming from China. But as Chinese electric vehicles have become more competitive and high quality, they're being squeezed out of the Chinese market, as are many other German automotive brands. So that cash cow is drying up, and that's really hurting them abroad. And they're suffering domestically because the German incentives on electric vehicle purchases stopped at the beginning of this year. So suddenly the electric sales have fallen off a cliff there. They're losing market share to other players, as I mentioned. So they're hurting away in abroad and domestically. So it's a very tricky situation for them.
This is also a political crisis, isn't it? I mean, Germany's leaders want fast fixes. How fast could the fixes be? Are there fast fixes to be had?
That's a good question. And, in many ways, VW is too big to fail. And we've heard that the German government will intervene because of the massive industrial and economic implications of this. I don't know exactly what they're likely to do, but they're likely to offer or possibly reintroduce those electric vehicle purchase incentives. That was, in my view, too premature to withdraw those. But other incentives to invest, modernize, to upgrade their factories so that they can become more productive and improve the trade union laws, perhaps. And that's going to be hugely controversial to try and implement that. But fundamentally, if Germany wants a future, not just automotive, but across its whole manufacturing base, it needs to become more productive, more competitive, more price competitive to remain in business as a key manufacturing exporter.
Daniel, good to see you. Thank you for that. Daniel Harrison, the automotive analyst at Ultima Media.